Banking authoritarianism has reached the European Union. It's coming to Britain, and we're about to experience a change in how we view the banking system, the financial system, and in my view, we need to start considering ways and means to protect ourselves. Now, the first thing to note here is that this is not a finance channel on YouTube. I deal with politics, and so I'm commenting on politics here. But often in commenting on politics, there has to be solutions presented also as to the best way forward. So take all my advice with a pinch of salt. I'm just a man on the internet. What do I know? I'm just going to present some facts here and my thoughts on what I'm considering doing in the future. So what's happened recently? Well, Ursula has just come out, nice Ursula von der Leyen from the EU. She's just come out and announced a little while ago that there was going to be a central bank digital currency, a digital euro. And they've done a video on that. And they've also done videos on it. You can search that yourself on Google. Now, in mid-March, Ursula came out and made some pretty dangerous statements relating to bank deposits. So the essence of it is that people in Europe have approximately 23 trillion euros in European bank accounts, and approximately 11 trillion euros of those 23 is in what you would call a demand deposit account. So essentially, it's somebody's got money in a bank account and it's just sitting there. And the EU hierarchy and high command finds this deeply offensive because there's things going on like climate change and other things like the Russian menace and other things like infrastructure projects that they think that your money would be far better put towards. And so in view of that, they've decided that they're going to bring in a new act which is essentially going to compel banks in one way or another to allow the EU to take your money. So that's the nice way to put it. They're going to be coming for your deposits. Now, there's a few different ways they can look at this, and it's filtering out this information now that there's 2 or 3 ways that the EU is thinking about this. So the first way is that they can bring out new legislation that will compel banks to effectively end the type of savings account that you're using and automatically transfer it to the European Central Bank into a like-minded thing, which allows them to go and do with what they will. The second way the EU could do it, they could force banks to invest a certain percentage of their portfolios into government bonds. And the EU, in the third way, could resort to forcing savers to invest their savings in compulsory government bonds. So there's several ways that the EU is thinking about this. Now, you probably know this already, but in case you didn't, when you put your money in a bank, what you do is you deposit your money in a bank account. Now, people generally believe that that's their money. And indeed, you can go online and you can see people going into banks and attempting to take their money out the bank account. And the bank asks them questions like, are you money laundering for, a Russian gangster or something like that? But people do say, I want my money. And I can understand why people do say that, because we've been trained to believe that banks hold our money. But that's not true. When you place your money in a bank account, you deposit that money in a bank account. And that is the word they use, deposit. Now, at the point where you put money into your bank account, you then become a creditor to the bank. It's not your money. The bank owes you that money. Now, if in the case of a bank going down and a bank becoming bankrupt, then you're at the back of the queue to get that money back. There's plenty of people in front of you, like sovereign wealth and corporate and all of that. So as a private deposit, you're at the back of the queue if anything goes wrong, but it's still not your money. It's the bank's money. And in addition to that, the bank only has to keep 10% of that money as a fiduciary duty to whichever banking regulations in the place that they're in. Generally, it's about 10%. And so the other 90%, the bank goes out in the financial markets and gambles with your money, or buys some government bonds, or does a carry trade from one currency to another. There's a variety of ways that the bank will gamble with your money, but they do gamble with 90% of it. And of course the EU have worked that out. And so what the EU are going to do, they're going to be gambling with the money, not the banks. And so what you've got is a position in Europe where they are openly coming out and saying two straightforward things. It's already been announced. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's not something that's happening in the future. It's not further down the line. It's now. So, number one, the EU is bringing out a central bank digital currency. Number two, the EU is going to want access to your personal bank deposits. And these are two things they've already said. Now, also added to that, Rachel Reeves came out recently and said that the ISA that you use, which is, if you didn't already know, an ISA is a place where you can place money and it's exempt. It's a tax wrapper. It's exempt from government taxes. If you put it in a savings account, an ISA savings account, a cash ISA, for instance, which is what Rachel Reeves was talking about, she reduced the amount you can put in every year into a cash ISA, which is exempt if you get any money from interest from government taxes. So Rachel Reeves has already kind of declared war on those savings, and she's already said, well, should we be thinking about investing in British business, in British climate? It's the same as the EU. So all round the European Union, and indeed in Britain, this is happening. And you only have to look at the issue of free speech. Look where the authoritarian nature of governments are going. Romania, elections stopped in Romania. TV stations removed so they can't broadcast any alternative opinion. Marine Le Pen in France, she's been convicted of something. Never mind the person that's, the right at the top of the European Central Bank, Christine Lagarde, was convicted of fraud, but she's still there. But of course, Marine Le Pen, she can't be there. Look at what's happening in Britain. We've got free speech issues all over the place. There's mothers in jail for 31 months for putting a nasty tweet and then deleting it after she'd walked their dog. We've got parents being arrested for sending emails to a school and questioning what they were doing. The police turning up at people's houses to question their thinking. You see where all this is going. This isn't in the realms of conspiracy theories. This is happening. And these types of banking regulations are coming to the UK. Without any doubt. It's going to be happening all over. One of the only places that it's probably not going to happen is America, strangely enough. But certainly in the European area, and we're moving closer to Europe all the time with Keir Starmer by the back door. This is moving in that direction. And so, what's my advice? Well, I don't have any advice specifically for you, but I will say this. Your money's not safe in a bank account, that's for sure. So if you're holding money in a bank account, you're saving money in a bank account, don't withdraw it all today and stuff it on your mattress or anything like that. But you need to be thinking longer term about what you're going to be doing with that money, because it's not safe in a bank. It's just not safe. Now, traditional ways that people have looked at making their money work for them, and, again, I understand if you're listening to this and you're struggling with money. I know what it feels like to be, working all the time and have nothing. I've been there, and so I sympathise with that. But if you do have any savings, and you are one of those people lucky enough to have a little bit of money put by, then you need to be considering what you're going to be doing with that. And one of the age-old ways to do that is buying gold, buying silver coins. The reason why people generally do that is because it maintains the purchasing power. So even if inflation goes up, a gold or a silver coin will generally go up with that, and you'll be able to buy approximately the same amount of things as you could before. Gold is relatively expensive. It's certainly more than £2,000 an ounce. Silver's a lot cheaper. And so these are some of the things that you can consider. A lot of people now are turning to Bitcoin as a digital way to deal with it, because Bitcoin isn't a central bank digital currency. Bitcoin's different. You're in control of your Bitcoin wallet. the central bank digital currency is controlled by the government. And so you have got different ways. For instance, you could hold an asset. So if you have something that you know for a fact is going to be worth the same or more later, then that's something that you can put money in. Some people have vintage cars, for instance. Some people have a nice watch or jewellery or something like that. These are all fine things to hold if it's going to be worth the same later. It doesn't really matter. What matters is having your money, some of your money, outside of the actual financial system, because these EU announcements have proved beyond any shadow of a doubt that these people are coming for your money. They want full control of your money, without any doubt. This is happening. And I don't trust the banks. I don't think you should trust the banks. As to what you should do, I don't know. But the one thing we shouldn't be doing is blindly trusting banks with our money, because the day may come where they just use your deposits, as is going to happen in the EU. Anyway, thanks very much for your time. I appreciate it.